Quick question before we begin. What city and time are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. Let's dive in. They left her to die on a planet without a name. Not a prison world. Not a battlefield. Just silence. Barren air, rust-colored skies, and rock formations that whistled when the wind shifted too fast. The kind of place that didn't bury the dead, it erased them. She was royalty once. A daughter of the House of Velarin, sixth in line to the Amethyst throne, trained in diplomacy and bladecraft since childhood. Her name had been sung in 3 languages on her naming day. Now it was a whisper in a wind that no longer cared to remember. They said she betrayed the court, defied a treaty with a dying species, one that wasn't worth preserving, one called human. She had helped them escape once, and for that the tribunal exiled her. No record, no legacy, just silence. When I found her, she wasn't standing proud in armor. She was crumpled at the base of a cliff, her breathing shallow, eyes unfocused, ribs cracked from a fall she probably didn't even feel. At first I thought she was already gone, but her fingers twitched when I touched her arm. And when she spoke, her voice was dry, brittle, and still, dignified. "You are late." I didn't ask how she knew I was coming. I didn't ask how long she'd waited. I just knelt beside her, opened my field pack, and began working in silence. I wasn't a soldier anymore. Not officially. Just a wanderer with a past I rarely acknowledged and a debt I never could repay. She had once saved my unit, against orders. Today was the day I paid that back. Her blood shimmered under the twin suns. Not red, not blue, but a pale opal sheen like crushed pearl and frost. Alien, yes. Fragile, no. Even near death she watched me work with the gaze of someone trained to detect betrayal. "You still carry Terran field meds," she rasped. I nodded. Didn't think I'd need them for a princess. She closed her eyes. "I'm not a princess anymore." That silence between us had more weight than any crown. I stabilized her ribs with foam seal, slipped a hydration thread beneath her skin, and forced oxygen into her lungs. Her vitals flickered on my scanner, inconsistent but present. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. I didn't answer. There are moments when words dishonor what silence preserves. I remembered the day we met. A battlefield negotiation gone wrong. Orders on both sides to wipe the other out. She broke protocol, sent an encrypted warning to our unit, and pulled 2 Terran medics out under her own banner, unarmed. She was 19. For that, her people branded her as treasonous. For that, I owed her everything. She drifted in and out of consciousness over the next hour, her body trying to reject both the meds and the shame she'd carried for years. She muttered names, some I didn't recognize. One I did. Her brother. He was the one who cast the vote against her. She'd once saved a species. He couldn't save his own sister. By nightfall, I'd rigged a shelter and fired a flare into orbit, not for rescue, for witness. Because someone needed to know what she did. The data beacon carried sealed testimony, time-stamped coordinates, and a message I'd written in the language of the Velarin royal court. Honor exiled does not mean honor erased. Whether they'd read it, that wasn't the point. She woke near midnight, eyes glassy but locked on me. "You came alone?" she asked. I nodded. She looked toward the stars, barely visible through the shifting wind dust. "I thought I'd see Earth again before I died." "You still might," I said. She smiled, and it was heartbreaking. Not because it was weak, because it was genuine. "You always believed in things long after you should have stopped," she said. "I learned it from you," I replied. She closed her eyes. Her breathing grew slower. I took her hand carefully, as one might hold the last page of a sacred book. She squeezed back, barely. Then her lips parted one final time, and she said, "Make them remember." She passed quietly. No drama, no prophecy, just silence. But it was the kind of silence that doesn't end. The kind that echoes through courts, commands, and conscience. I buried her under the cliff, beneath the rock that had nearly broken her. I marked it with her real name, not the exile code they'd written on her banishment order. I didn't mourn her as a soldier. I mourned her as a human, because that's what she'd chosen to be when it mattered most. When I returned to orbit, I didn't head home. I set course straight for Velarin Prime. The diplomatic lanes were still open. They always were. They liked to act civil, even when their knives were blood wet. I didn't bring a warship, just the same rusting Terran freighter I'd used to find her. But this time I didn't come as a guest. I came as a witness. As I passed through orbit-to-ground protocols, I transmitted the beacon, encoded testimony, time-stamped footage, my own voice explaining what I found, what they left behind. At first, no response. Then, just as I entered the capital's airspace, I got a ping. You are not authorized to enter court airspace. Turn away or be disabled. I answered only with coordinates, the grave's location, and a final message. Then disable me. But know this, she died saving your honor when none of you had the strength to stand beside her. I will speak, whether inside your hall or above it. They let me land, not because they respected me, because they were afraid of what silence would cost. The grand hall of the amethyst throne was built for spectacle. White stone, violet crystal, spires of light dancing through solar prisms. Royals and delegates stood arrayed in tears, their faces painted in political stillness. But I wasn't looking at them. I looked only at the man on the central dais. Her brother, High Speaker Velas. He didn't flinch when I entered, didn't blink when I stepped forward, and placed the data cube on the marble floor. You buried her, he said softly. She died alone, I replied. She chose exile. No, you chose it for her. His jaw tightened. She broke court order. She broke silence, I said, voice echoing in the chamber when no one else would. She saved Terran lives. She preserved peace. She risked her legacy for a moral line you were too cowardly to cross. Terrans were not our responsibility, he snapped. I took a step closer. We were people, bleeding, dying. She saw that, and you punished her for acting with honor. She disobeyed. She did what you couldn't. A hush settled over the hall like dust. Velas stared at the cube. He didn't move. She said something before she died. I said, "Do you want to hear it?" He didn't answer. I activated the recording. Her voice played. Weak, breathy. Make them remember. A ripple moved through the council. I could see it. Some looked down. Others shifted their weight. But not Velas. He simply stared at the projection. A single moment captured in time, his sister, eyes closed, wind in her hair, dying with dignity even after the court abandoned her. I brought her home, I said. Even if your court never will. They didn't clap, they didn't cry, but they didn't deny it either. And in royal halls like that, silence is louder than thunder. I didn't wait for a verdict. There wouldn't be one. Not publicly. But in the following cycles, quiet things began to happen. A change in the official court ledger. Her name listed again among the royal line, no longer blacked out. A message sent to Terran archives, acknowledging her intervention at the Battle of Cernic Reach, previously erased. And one night, a courier ship landed near her grave, left no markings, but planted a royal banner in the soil, not at the headstone, at the base. Because even in apology, the Velarin bowed to her. Weeks passed. I thought I'd be able to leave it behind. But then, I got a ping. Not from Velarin. From Earth. It was an old channel. Terran High Diplomatic Reserve. Long silent since the collapse. They had seen the footage too. And what they asked me was simple. Was she worth remembering? I answered back. She was worth a monument. And so, a monument was built. Not on Earth, not on Velarin, but in neutral orbit, a crystalline spire engraved with both human and Velarin script. Her name at the center. No title, just her name. And 2 words. She chose. I visit sometimes, not because I must, because I need to. In this galaxy, we fight wars for power, politics, and survival. But she fought for something else. And in doing so, reminded both our species of what was possible when one voice, just one, dared to break the silence. If this story moved you, drop your thoughts in the comments, share it with someone who still believes in honor, and hit like to help us keep telling stories that matter. See you in the next one.